collaborate and pull together as a team on really every major project or policy that you see MBEP engage in. It's really as a team, and I really appreciate every one of them immensely, and everyone who's joined us tonight. We're gonna talk and give a individual toast and a collective toast together. And Alexia, will you take us to the rest of the program, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So if we could get someone to share their slides, to get those low-key toast slides up.
That's me, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I was too into dancing. I'm so sorry, everyone. Hold on a moment.
Yeah, and in the meantime, thanks everyone for joining us. Like Matt said, we want this to be a really low-key
No, honey.
opportunity to thank y'all and say good riddance to 2020. So welcome. Emmy, if you could take us to the next slide, please. Yeah, so tonight's agenda, just a quick overview. We're keeping it super loose. We're going to give our thank yous to all our amazing advocates that we've worked with in 2020 and even before 2020. And then we're going to break out into little sessions so you could get to know your neighbor a little bit. Like Matt said, 2020 has made it really difficult to network and interact like we used to. So we're hoping to bring a little bit more of that into this space right now. And then we'll play a little housing trivia, which I've since I got the job at MBEP and started working on their housing team, I've talked to housers throughout the region, and we've always talked about getting a little housing homies, nerdy housing trivia going, but the pandemic kind of made that difficult. So we're going to try and bring that to you now. And then of course some music from DJ Miguel in between it all. So without further ado, Emmy, if you could take us to the next slide. We'd also like to thank our amazing funders, the Community Foundation for Monterey County and the Monterey Peninsula Foundation. It's not lost upon us that we're, incredibly fortunate to continue doing this work. So we'd like to express our gratitude. Next slide, please. And I'll start off with Santa Cruz County. So the first project that we'd like to highlight and express our thanks about is 111 Errett Circle. So this was one of the first projects that we worked on during this year. It was approved in May 2020, and it was kind of unconventional in comparison to the other projects that come to us for an endorsement, in that it was driven and developed by a group of local residents who kind of took inspiration from local cooperative living. And I think I saw Caitlin here. She's part of the Circle of Friends. And so we just wanted to say thank you to them for that work. And thanks to the Santa Cruz City Council for approving that project. And it's going to bring up to 36 homes. So it's a really amazing project and really amazing group of people that brought that forward. Unfortunately, I also wanted to give a shout out to Santa Cruz YEMBI, who also supported this project and like a myriad of other projects, but Evan wasn't able to be here, and they're having their own event that conflicted with this. So hopefully they're able to join us a little later, which brings us to the next project. So 190 West Cliff is a project that was approved in 2019, but we wanted to include it because there's been ongoing advocacy throughout this year around the Coastal Commission. And likewise, the next project, Riverfront, that project will consist of 175 homes in downtown Santa Cruz with some really important on-site affordable homes. And that was brought to the Planning Commission in September. And we just want to give a shout out to the development team, Owen Lawler. I don't know if I saw him on here or not, but shout out to them. And also Council Member Myers, who is one of our biggest housing champions in the city of Santa Cruz. And then that brings us to the final City of Santa Cruz project that we want to highlight, which is the Library Mixed Use Project. So this comes after a pretty involved community engagement process. And this was approved by City Council on June 23rd, 2020. So it's going to bring up to a minimum of 50 affordable homes, which is really exciting and really necessary in the city of Santa Cruz. And we want to thank the amazing group of people that worked on this project. We have Robert Singleton from the Santa Cruz County Business Council, and the rest of the Downtown Forward Coalition, as well as Council Member Matthews, who I see here. She's right below me in that little square. So thank you for being a housing champion and supporting this project and for all the other work that you do. So I'll pass it off with that to Rafa to give us a little thank you from a Watsonville perspective.
Buenas noches. Good evening. Hello, everyone. Great to see you all here. Sorry, I was telling off. I got a little too worked up with the music. Thanks. Shout out to DJ Miggs otra vez. Well, thank you, Alexia. We're in Watsonville now. And as you see, I have one of my childhood mentors. So while folks are very humble because they feel like they're just doing their job, and which is why we appreciate them, we're looking to, I see the inner Bruce Lee in folks. So that's what we're doing here. And these interesting projects that Alexi just mentioned leads us to Miles Lane. This one was one that we're so happy to support. It's, as you can see, it has 72 affordable homes, but it also works with another organization, Encompass Community Services, bringing residential and outpatient substance abuse treatment center to the community in the capacity with the housing. So it's a great example of a collaboration between different organizations in the city, and the project manager, pre-development project manager on this was Ashley Schweikart. I saw you out there, Ashley. I don't know if you were dancing, but I see you right there. So gracias to you for leading that and getting it, bringing it to the community. And our next one, I think goes, does this go to, yes. Well, here we are. You all know that we did election forums, so I'll share this with my teammates, Alexia and Emmy. I'll start off since I'm already on the mic. We did, as you know, election forums, candidate forums across the region, and we each co-hosted it with great people, great organizations. So the three that I'll mention are, we'll start with the South Santa Cruz County Candidate Forum. That one we teamed up with El Pájaro CDC, and the executive director, Carmen Herrera, was co-hosting with us. So a shout out to her and to the El Pájaro CDC for their work. And thank you for always working with MBEP for housing, with MBEP in general and with our housing team. The next candidate forum is San Benito County. And with that one, we teamed up with the Youth Alliance, and Diana Ortiz is the executive director of the Youth Alliance there. Thank you to her. And the next candidate forum that I'll mention before I pass it off to Emmy is the Salinas Valley Candidate Forum. And with that one, we teamed up with another organization that you all know, near and dear to my heart, as I used to volunteer teach there, Rancho Cielo. And for that one, the deputy director of Rancho Cielo, Cecilia Romero, is the one that co-hosted the event with us. So thank you to those folks. Thank you to those organizations for the work that they do and for working with us. Emmy.
Great, thank you. And of course, in Monterey County, the peninsula is so big that we had to divide it into 2 election forums. So I had the great honor of hosting 2 election forums. Let's see, the first one was with Barbara of the Monterey Bay Aquarium. And I think I saw her check in somewhere. I'm scrolling through. I think I saw her. Hi, Barbara. It was so fun hosting with you. The second one was with Katie Castagna from United Way Monterey County. So thank you, Katie. You two were both, you are both mentors to me as women in leadership. And it was just such a honor, and I had so much fun hosting those forums with you. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
And last but not least, we want to thank Robert Singleton from the Santa Cruz County Business Council for co-hosting our City of Santa Cruz / North Santa Cruz County Election Forum, as well as Tim Willoughby from Affordable Housing Now, who helped us come up with that content and gave us some really helpful insight into that program.
Great. And by the way, I'll just say about the election forums, those are not easy to host. It's very weird not seeing your audience. So we're moving on to all the great work that has been done in Monterey County this year. Garden Road was actually started in 2019, but of course, a lot of you who are tracking this development knows all the going-ons with the water. And so Tyler Williamson and Alan Hoffa have really been instrumental, not only in the rezoning, but in helping to get the water credits to that development. So we're hoping that we can keep pushing on this one and get it going. So thank you so much to Tyler and Alan. I think I saw Alan on here, not Tyler, but Tyler, I think, is the busiest man in Monterey County. So we'll give him a pass on this one. Next is Campus Town. I'm not sure if John is on the scene, but John Wizard was super instrumental in this development. It passed unanimously through the Seaside Planning Commission and the City Council, which was great. It will include 1,485 housing units, which is incredible. So we would really like to thank John for his tireless efforts, not just on this, but on all things housing in Seaside. Thank you, John. The MPUSD's housing bond. So although it didn't pass, we still wanted to extend a big thank you to Wendy Root Askew, the new Monterey County supervisor. We're very excited, and Kevin Dayton, and they were really instrumental in bringing this to the forefront, really making this a conversation, and other jurisdictions have really started to look at that process and think about what they can do in their own school districts. So thank you both for your work on that.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Kevin. Yeah, and if you're here, please feel free to unmute yourself and give a word of thanks, or you're welcome.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'll just add that Soledad Unified School District passed a bond for some workforce housing, and I expect that the endeavor will continue at Monterey Peninsula Unified School District in the next year, so we'll see what happens.
That's right. We still have those city sites to work with, so we'll keep pushing. Finally, the COVID, I don't know if it's the last one. No, we have more, don't worry. The COVID-19 housing response. This was really a tri-county effort, but there's no way to account for all of the people who were a part of this housing response. And just by a show of hands, I'd like to know who knew what they were doing at the beginning of the pandemic. Okay, yeah, me neither. Nobody knew. This is really uncharted territory. We had to come together. We had to see what we were doing in other jurisdictions. Really, it was trial and error all the way through, particularly with the rental assistance piece. I am so proud of how we've worked together, and that we kept coming each week to these meetings, touching base, troubleshooting, pushing where we needed to at city council meetings and board of supervisor meetings. And we've managed to keep a really amazing number of people housed. I just want to take some time to thank those who were really instrumental in our rental assistance subcommittee. So this might take a little bit, but Paz Padilla from Community Action Board Santa Cruz, I'm not sure if she's here. Esther Malkin from Monterey Peninsula Renters United. I saw Esther. Katie Castagna, Kelly DeWolf from United Way, Monterey County. And Calissa. Hi, Calissa. Jamila Seca from the city of Hollister, and Enrique Areola from San Benito County. Carlos Landavery from the city of Watsonville. Grant Leonard, the city of Monterey. George Savala, who worked with COPA and did a lot of outreach through the Holy Cross Food Pantry. And then Abby Nieves. And of course, Barbara Meister from the Monterey Bay Aquarium. And I'm sure I'm forgetting people in that group, but truly an impressive feat. I just want to make one note. It was kind of a separate endeavor, but Maria Cadenas with UndocuFund was really just right out of the gate, so incredibly helpful to our undocumented communities and getting them the rental assistance that they needed. So Maria, thank you so much for your efforts as well.
Hey, Emmy, I want to thank you because you did a great job bringing all of us together. It was really You were great at keeping us on top of everything that was going on and keeping us in the loop. So thank you for the work you've done on that.
You're welcome. Yes, and if MBEP can be a convener, we will be a convener. So thank you, Esther. We really appreciate it. So now I'd like to thank, this is not, of course, an affordable housing project, but it's a really cool program that just launched in Monterey County. A lot of you have heard of it. She's creating quite the buzz. Karen Kopic from Covia Home Match, I think she's on the call. And this program is really almost over a year in the making in Monterey County. One of my first tasks at MBEP was to go to the Monterey County Board of Supervisors and advocate for funding for this program. And finally, in October, pandemic et al., it launched and it is up and running on the Monterey Peninsula. And we're so excited to build on that momentum and see where else we can bring it to. So thank you, Karen, for all of your work and sticking with us through it all. And I'll turn this over to Matt.
Hi, Emmy. Can I just say one little shout out here?
Sure, yeah.
I want to do a shout out, a special shout out to Maria Cadenas. She, as like in April, was able to get hundreds of thousands of dollars for people that are undocumented and lost their jobs and did not qualify for any money and had no money for anything. We were able to give out at least, I think, $50,000 in direct aid to people in Monterey County. So very thankful to Maria for making that strong effort, and she helped another county in Santa Cruz County as well. So I want to just applaud Maria Cadenas on her own for doing this tremendous work.
Absolutely.
I'll just say thank you so much, Anna. And I gotta say, we actually gave out 3 million total to the region, over to 2,400 families. So thank you, everybody that's in this call that was part of that effort. And then we're doing a guaranteed income model for the next 6 months through that. So again, thank you, everyone.
Thank you. And if I wasn't sharing my screen, I would list off all those impressive statistics. It's truly astounding. So thank you, Maria, and thank you, Anna, as well. We really appreciate all your work on that.
Thank you.
Over to you, Matt, for the CASP.
Sure. So yeah, just continuing the round of thank yous and toasts and identifying some of the major things that we've been really proud to be part of and support. The Central Area Specific Plan in Salinas was a long time coming, almost 20 years in the making, part of the future growth area. Over 10 to 12,000 residents at some point will be home there. And this plan especially was very much more well thought through, integrating best practices and principles of traditional new urbanism, and really started to push the envelope on affordability through design and really making the best of our inclusionary housing ordinance. And it doesn't happen by accident. It happens through a lot of collaboration, sometimes very difficult and challenging negotiations between advocates, elected officials, staff, and the development community, the developers who are doing a lot of the heavy lifting to move these large developments forward, play a critical role. So we were proud to be part of advising that process, and it led to approval and folks feeling good about moving forward with this large 4,300 plus unit master plan community in Salinas. And so just want to thank, there's really too many people to thank, but just overall the Salinas Housing Justice Coalition of many individuals, over 24 individuals and organizations came together to work collaboratively and establish a really historical agreement with the one of the key master developers of the plan, to help guarantee more affordability over the build out of the next 20, 30 years. So more to report on that, but also want to identify one of my chief co-conspirators in helping to craft that agreement was former council member Jill Lutz. So it just goes to show that, not only elected officials are critical when they're casting their votes, but even afterward, they can continue to play that critical role and leverage their relationships to move important developments forward, and especially in housing, where it's the relationships that folks craft over years and are really important. So wanted to highlight that and lift that up. Next. We also wanted to identify the Regional Housing Trust Fund as a major step forward in Monterey County, especially with the leadership of Anastasia Wyatt. I don't know if she couldn't join us this evening, but her leadership and cooperation and pulling together just a scarce amount of resources, just as the pandemic is hit and everyone's bracing for economic, just treachery is, figuring out how to leverage the state funding, because there's $300 million of local housing trust funds that were approved as part of the Jobs and Housing Act, the $4 billion bond, voter approved bond just a couple of years ago. Now those monies are starting to roll out, and we need to make sure that we get our fair share here in our region. And the city of Santa Cruz submitted a very competitive proposal. We expect that to be successful, and we expect this one here, a new regional housing trust fund in Monterey County, that pulled not only communities from the Salinas Valley, but also the peninsula in a historic collaboration and partnership. Pacific Grove and other cities are joining, City of San Gonzales and Salinas and Monterey County to start that fund. And we look forward to participating and helping to build that permanent. Again, these are funds that are the lifeblood of filling the gaps for deeply targeted affordable housing, the kind of funds that don't come around very often, and we absolutely have to leverage every red cent that we can from the state and federal government. So that's what that very important new tool is about, and just want to thank everybody who was part of that.
Thank you, Matt. Well, continuing on, folks, housing education in Monterey County. So we have action, policy, but we also we want to be the practitioner that understands what's happening. So education, housing education is so key. Everyone, when they hear housing, in many senses, you're not sure if they're thinking housing means traffic and parking nightmares. Other people think it means homes, different things. So education on this is important and has to be ongoing education. There's so many folks that we can thank and talk and mention in this regards and in this area. We're gonna pick two folks that we've known for a bit. I had the privilege of knowing both of them and working with them on education efforts. So you see here on the slide, we have newly elected Mayor Ana Velasquez of Soledad. She was formerly a council member. She's also the district director for our senator, Ana Caballero. And we have the newly elected Seaside council member, Alexis Garcia Rasola. Very happy for them. And the thing that I want to say is, when I think about all the different folks that you've been here, all of you here, all the folks that we're talking about on these slides, they're from different areas, entities, industries. And what brings us together is this thing called kinship. And I think it's very important for our elected officials who are decision makers and are there to bring the voice of the community to the decision-making table to represent that kinship. And it is hard. It is the hard work that humans do across the globe. And the pandemic and the wildfires have definitely tested that. So these are two folks that we believe bring the voice of the community to that decision-making table at the highest levels of principle. And we're happy to work with them, from housing cafecitos in Espanol to public comments in council or other areas on key housing issues, including during the pandemic, and bringing the voice of the community to these spaces. We want to thank Alexis Garcia Rasola and Ana Velasquez. I had contact with them. They weren't able to make it, unfortunately, but shout out to them. Thank you. And rounding out Monterey County, some of you know me from working with the city of Salinas on the Farmworker Housing Study Action Plan. This plan was a big effort from many, again, different entities, folks from government, county, cities, ag, nonprofit, for-profit worlds, and they put out this study. And rather than having with this plan, and rather than having to just sit there and collect dust, MBEP and the city of Salinas were tasked with getting it off the shelf, out into the streets, out into the fields, out into the community. And the folks involved in there is a long list. So what we thought we'd do is talk about a tool that came out that represents this collaboration. So you have this suitable sites mapping tool. Before we can begin, we want to think of finance, we want to think of what kind of housing, we want to think of the regulations, the zoning. We need the land, we need the sites. What are the right sites? And sometimes you're digging through and you got to find the sites, and we go over a lot of sites that we don't even realize are there. This tool brought together folks from the city who have city zoning and specific parcel information. It brought the developer expertise. It brought the GIS tech wizardry to take all of that information, program it, and design it into a user-friendly aesthetic interface. And then it took people to coordinate all of these folks to get together and sort out all that information to get out this product, this tool. So with that, there's, like I said, there's a lot of folks in the Farmworker Housing Study Action Plan effort that I and my colleague Madison Roberts, who's here, who's AmeriCorps Vista, who's served given a year of service to the city of Salinas. And she's here, Maddie, so if you wanna give a little, any comments, you're free to. But I wanna mention Madison Roberts, Salinas AmeriCorps, Luis Ochoa, also with the city of Salinas, Charles Hanley, City of Salinas GIS tech wizard and all around cool guy, Alfred Diaz-Infante, we all know from Chispa. We know, of course, Joanna Carmen from MidPen. We know Jane Barr from Eden, who's here. I see you, Jane. Always there. I can call up these folks at any time if I just have any questions, however large or small. They brought all their expertise. They poured it into this project, and now we have this tool that's going to suss out sites. So thank you all very much. Well, a good round of applause is merited for this effort, and let's keep it going. Let's keep working. Our last area of the region, and definitely not least, San Benito County. With San Benito County, there is a particular area where we were invited to work on, and it's the Affordable Housing Ad Hoc Committee. It started last year, and it's worked through, and it had to navigate the pandemic as well, and it came back together. This brings together, again, the public and county agencies to collaborate in very important work. And the folks that are doing all that work behind the scenes, in front of the scenes, and on the side of the scenes, and all over the scenes, making sure that this works are Jamila Saka, the City of Hollister's Development Services and the county's Housing Programs Director. She'll be on later. She said she can join after 7, so I'll be looking out for her, hopefully on the dance floor. And Dulce Alonso, who is the Management Analyst for the San Benito County. They're leading the work to coordinate the county supervisors, developers, nonprofits, including us, in that effort, and we're very honored and happy to be a part of that work in San Benito County. Very important part of this tri-county area. So thank you all for that work. Ashley.
Is Ash on or?
I am I'm here. Hi, everyone. Good evening. Well, good afternoon where I am. I'm Ashley, Special Projects Manager at MBEP, and it's just so nice to see all of us coming together to celebrate our region's housing accomplishments. Everyone in this party has played a massive role in bringing the ongoing challenges that surround housing to the table, one of which is water. That's really what I'm going to focus on right now. And so, as some of you may know, we embarked on a blue paper study late last year and published it early this year. And it basically looks at where housing and water intersect and how all the lovely complexities and nuances impact one another across the political, environmental, economic, and legal landscapes. And so I really just want to take this opportunity to publicly thank and toast to everyone that's been involved in this process and continues to remain engaged. Our beloved and respected water and policy expert, I don't know if she's in the party tonight, but Dr. Abby Ostavar, who took on a very big and bold role in the research and development of the paper itself, and is now providing a lot of technical assistance and advising on the adoption and implementation phase of the paper. Of course, our Housing and Water Advisory Committee that was specifically set up for this paper. Dave Stolt with the Monterey Peninsula Water Management District, Brent Haddad and Steve Matazzaro with UC Santa Cruz, Norm Groot with the Monterey County Farm Bureau, Alfred Diaz-Infante with Chispa, Joanna Carmen with MidPen, Sarah Hardgrave over at Super Mary Adams' office, Councilmember John Wizard over at City of Seaside, Councilmember Tyler Williamson, City of Monterey, Sibley Simon with Envision Housing, the Monterey Peninsula Housing Coalition. So many people were involved in this study. Everyone who participated in the interview process, Landwatch, Ecology Action, several housing and water agencies and policy leaders, thank you all for your contributions and expertise. Really quickly, as a quick update, we're currently working with the Monterey Peninsula Water Management District on state and local advocacy around the condition 2 of the existing cease and desist order, relaxing that condition using the Garden Road project in Monterey as a specific example. This is specific to recommendation number 7 in the blue paper on water credit transferring. We're hoping to expand that program across the board, across the peninsula. We've also been taking a deeper dive into rec number 2 on water conservation and gray water systems, in addition to rec number 1 on surveying water use and identifying its impact on new and or existing housing development. That we're also hoping to engage local students on. So if you'd like to learn more, please direct message me in the chat box, and I can also include a link to our paper as well. So kudos to our passionate, hardworking housing team for putting this together, and we're very much looking forward to continuing the great work. Thank you.
Thanks, Ash. So that pretty much wraps up our little thank you portion. And I want to express my gratitude to everyone that we mentioned and the folks that we didn't get to mention. But we recognize that it's all about collaboration and community. So cheers to you guys. I don't know if you have a drink, we said that it was a happy hour, but in that spirit, I hope that 2021 is better than 2020 and that we continue moving forward regardless of what, we face. So cheers.
Salud. Cheers.
Yeah.
Salud.
Chin, chin, chin.
Chin, chin.